Hi, I'm back with another morph focus video. This time I want to show the hypo or ghost. First of all, I want to mention that the hypo is ghost, same thing. The term ghost was given to these animals a long time ago, and in most reptile morphs, a ghost is usually an anerythristic and hypo put together, like the ghost corn snake or the ghost boa. A ghost ball python is actually, the correct term is actually hypo or hypomelanistic, which means a reduction in black pigment. It's not a complete lack of black pigment like amelanistic, which is what our albinos are in ball pythons. They're technically, albinos are amelanistic, which means lack of black. So hypomelanistic means a reduction in black, but not complete elimination of it. So I wanted to show you some hypo or ghost ball pythons now. Okay, this first one I'm going to show you here is an enchi. This is an enchi. And I also wanted to mention that there are several different lines of ghosts, several different bloodlines. Most of them are compatible with the orange line, which is the most common line. And that's what this is. This is an orange hypo enchi, or orange ghost enchi. You'll see a pretty common link between a lot of these animals, and that I have enchi in most of them. Enchi really brings out the color and pattern in hypos a lot. This one hasn't held on to its orange coloration real great, but when these things hatch, they are bright orange, and then they kind of fade a little bit as they get older. But the enchi gene really sharpens up the pattern, gives it a nice banded pattern. It reduces the amount of spotting, although you'll see in a lot of the hypo enchi combos, they do have more spotting than what most other non-hypo enchi combos have. So this is an enchi hypo. And then if you add pastel into that, you get this. And again, you can see more of the spotting, which isn't really typical of most enchi combos. So the best thing to do then is to make a super enchi hypo. They have a lot cooler pattern to them, a lot more interesting head pattern, and just brighter colors overall. And again, a lot of these are adults or subadults. Actually, I think everything I'm going to show you today is either an adult or a subadult. This one does not want to sit still. So this is a hypo super enchi. You can see the really brilliant yellow colors. Now the ideal thing to do with this would be to try to clean up the muddiness in there, which I would imagine if you could add a yellow belly and some other genes to it, which would help clean up the pattern a little bit, but it's still pretty nice all on its own. Okay, this next one here, this is a banana mimosa. And a mimosa is a hypo champagne, and that's the banana version of it. So they keep the really nice banana colors. The hypo adds a little bit of extra coloration to it, and they have very reduced spotting. Actually, most hypos that I've hatched out, hypo bananas that I've hatched out anyway, have no spotting to them. This one does have a couple spots, but not much. Okay, this next one, I'm going to go through these kind of quick because I have kind of a lot of snakes to show you here, so I'm not going to keep each one out for a real long period of time. This is a hypo enchi bamboo. That's a project I've been working on for a couple of years now and managed to produce some pretty cool stuff from it. Haven't produced many combos yet, but I'm definitely working on a lot more of them. The bamboo is a really strong gene. It doesn't allow for a lot of color differences if you add other morphs, but if you compare this to a regular enchi bamboo, it's a lot lighter and kind of more washed out looking than a regular enchi bamboo. Okay, the next one I have to show you here is a Hypo firefly. It's a Hypo, fire, and pastel all mixed together. This one was really bright yellow when it was a hatchling. This is a breeder male. Actually should produce enchi versions of this upcoming season. And he's going to be bashful and kind of hide his head a little bit, it looks like. Okay, the next one I have to show you here. This is a Hypo Mojave Mimosa. So, I'm sorry, a Hypo is a mimosa, but so this is a Hypo Champagne Mojave, or Mojave Mimosa, I guess would be the proper term for it. Okay, the next one I have to show you is back into the Hypo enchis. This is a Hypo pastel enchi. I don't know why all these guys are all balled up today. Not allowing you to see the colors and patterns very well. So that is a Hypo pastel enchi lesser. I just love what enchi does with different combos with Hypo. Trying to, like I said before, I'm trying to get Hypo into pretty much, I'm trying to get enchi into pretty much all of my Hypo stuff. I just think it just adds so much to that. Okay, this next one here is another Hypo lesser. This is a Hypo lesser pinstripe enchi. So Hypo, lesser, pinstripe, and enchi. And she's breeding right now. I've got her breeding a, let's see, what do I have her breeding to? I think a banana enchi Hypo, I believe. Can't even remember right now. I'm minding too many different things today. She's a little jumpy too, as you can tell. This next one, this is a Hypo cinnamon lesser enchi. Really like the way that one turned out too. I'd like to see, I kind of wouldn't mind seeing what pastel looks like with it, but I think it might wash it out a little bit too much. Some Hypo stuff looks great with pastel, others not so much. It just kind of depends on what other genes are in there. Here is an enchi Humblebee. Humblebee is a Hypo bumblebee. This is the enchi version. And once again, balled up, so not being very good about letting you see their face or their head. See if I can get her to unball a little bit at least. And see her pretty little face. With the bumblebees, the enchi just kind of makes a little bit more contrast with the spider web markings. And it also adds to the color too. enchi really does a good job on bumblebees, and with the hypo version it's the same. They're a lot brighter, more vibrant with the enchi gene in there. Okay, this next one I have here is an enchi pastavi hypo. So enchi, pastel, Mojave, and hypo. I think she's going to produce for me this year. She's really fattening up nicely. I've actually bred her to a GHI enchi het hypo. I'm hoping to make super enchi GHI Mojave hypos with pastel in it, possibly. See, if you look at this now on a regular pastavi, this coloration through here would be pretty black, and you could see it's more like a kind of a grayish color. That's because most of the black pigment is actually taken out of that, which is what hypo does to other combos. Hypo is a recessive combo too, so it's a little hard to get into other genes. Yeah, of course, both parents, the mother and the father, have to have the hypo gene, either being a visible hypo or a het hypo. You have to breed those together to have any chance to produce hypo offspring. If you breed a hypo to a hypo, all babies will be hypo. If you breed a hypo to a het hypo, the babies will come out, approximately half the babies on average will come out hypo, and the other half will come out 100% het hypo. If you breed het hypo to het hypo, about a quarter of the babies will come out hypo, a quarter will come out normal, and half of them will come out het hypo. So 3 out of every 4 babies will look normal, or at least won't have the hypo gene in it. 2 out of every 3 of those are hets, which means that they're all considered 66% possible hets until they're bred and proven whether or not they are het hypo or not het hypo. And if they're not het hypo, then they're just normals. And that same thing goes for all recessive combos, or recessive genes. Albino, genetic stripe, clown, pied, axanthic. All of the genes work like that. Okay, so I've been working on also getting hypo into other projects, other recessive projects, and this is one of my favorites. This is the hypo clown. So it's just a regular clown plus hypo in it. And there's the phone. So with the hypo and clown, since they're both recessive, let's wait till this phone is done. Okay, apparently the wireless caller is done calling now. Okay, so with a double recessive like this, you have the way to produce this animal from the very start is you have to have a visible clown and a visible hypo. Breed those to each other, and the babies will come out het hypo and het clown, which means they're double het for hypo clown. Then you have to raise those up and breed them to each other, and then on average 1 out of 16 of the eggs will end up showing a visible hypo and a visual clown, which is what this is. And the other ones will be clowns that are possible het hypo, hypos that are possible het clowns, and normals that are possible double hets. So it's hard to produce that first one, but once you start producing them, it's pretty easy to take those back and make more of them. You could see the color is a lot lighter than a typical clown. Clowns are really, really dark brown, almost black through the striping, and with this one it's more like kind of a purplish gray color. Okay, so I've added the lesser gene into the Hypo clown. And that, compared to a normal lesser, is a lot lighter. I just think this is a really, really pretty animal. Look at that little spot it's on the side. Hopefully the colors are showing up. Hypos are really tough to show either in videos or in pictures. The photos just never do them justice, and I think that's what's caused hypos to be a little bit of an underrated morph. I don't know if it's a forgotten morph, but it's definitely not as popular as, you know, albino or clown or pied, some of the others, but it does have really, really cool combos that you can do with it. But they don't show up very well in pictures most of the time, unless you're an expert photographer, which I am not. So I have a really hard time getting the colors to really come through on any of the hypo stuff. Okay, and I've also managed to make pastel lesser hypo clowns. So these two are the same thing genetically, except this has pastel in it. The one thing I don't really care for about this one is that it kind of does wash out the pattern a little bit, but I'm already working on getting things in there that I think will help with that. I'm currently trying to get GHI into my Hypo Clown project and Leopard into my Hypo Clown project, and I think I've got a couple other genes that I'm trying to get in there too. But you know, so I think that there's certain things that you can put in there to bring out that pattern. Another one would probably be Yellow Belly and enchi as well. I think these would both look excellent if they had enchi in there. Although you wouldn't have as much pattern. Like, I actually really like this one for its pattern. You wouldn't get as much of that with enchi, because enchi's gonna make more of a striping down the back without as much pattern. Okay, so I have one more snake I want to show you. This is kind of a genetic freak. I call this a blue ghost or a blue hypo. It's more gray now, but when I hatched it was pretty blue. It's just kind of an anomaly. I don't really know why. It's basically, it looks like an axanthic, or which, you know, like an axanthic hypo, which would be a true ghost. But that's not what this is. This does not have axanthic in it, but it hatched with no yellow pigment in it. And like I said, it was blue, and now it's kind of a grayish, maybe just a tint of blue to it a little bit. But just a really cool snake. And I'm growing her up. I'm going to try to breed her to one of her siblings to see if I can pull more babies out that look like that. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Probably not. I know there are other breeders that have produced snakes like this. I know Mark Petros actually hatched out a blue ghost several years ago, I think. And I'm not sure if he ever had success with that or not. But anyway, either way, she's a really cool looking snake, and I'm really happy to have her here. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the hypo and ghost video. I'll be back again with some more videos soon. Sorry I went through this so fast. I just had a lot of snakes to show here, and I wanted to get through it because I've got a lot of work to do today. A lot of shipments to pack up, a lot of snakes to put away, babies hatching, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I will be back soon, and if you'd like to see what kind of hypos and other ball pythons I have available, make sure to visit my website, royalconstrictordesigns.com, and I'll be back with another video soon.